I have to say.
The way that Philip and Doug have been talking to me coming over here to actually do this talk, you think I'd be coming here to walk on water. And I found it very difficult to figure out how I'm going to exceed your expectations. So I figured the only way they'd be able to do that is if I lit myself on fire. I did it earlier today, and I have no hair on the left-hand part of my arm. So Ronnie suggested that I got Mike to do it. Before I talk about what I'm going to talk about, I want to just take a couple of minutes and talk about my journey at the Journey. A few years ago, when my wife and I first came to the Journey Church, we really did not know what to expect. And I went to church the way I went to church when I was a kid. I went in dress pants, I went in a long-sleeve dress shirt, and I show up at the Journey, open up the door, and I see all you guys in shorts and T-shirts. And that's not exactly what I expected. So I sat down with my wife, and before Scott could even talk, he walked out on top of the stage, and I leaned over to my wife, and I says, "I don't think this is going to work." And she goes, "Why not?" I says, "Well, number one, the pastor's 12 years old." And I said, "Number two, I think he borrowed our son's clothes." And then Scott talked and blew us away. And what he talked about that day, about the Lord and about life, it was awesome. In fact, at the end of the service, I had asked one of the volunteers, I said, "Does he do this in the middle of the week? Because I want more, and I want more now." So that's my experience into the Journey. So to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, I mean, we all want better relationships with everybody that we have relationships with. You want better relationships with your friends. You want better relationships with your girlfriend or your wife. You want better relationships with the people that you work with. You want better relationships with everybody. And tonight we're going to learn a biblical principle that can transform every part of your life. What I'd like everybody to do right now is I would like you to think of just one person, one guy that you know. We all have this guy in our life that you know that pretty much you can't count on. He may be a friend, he may not be a friend, but if he says he's going to do something, you know he's probably not going to do it. If he says he's going to show up, he may or may not show up. If he says he's going to show up at a certain time, you can pretty much be assured that he's going to be late. And whatever it is that he's telling you that he's going to do, he's probably going to do it not the right way. And we all know someone like that. Now I want you to think of a person that you know you can count on. Someone that you know when he says what he's going to do, it's going to be done. The person that you know that if he says he's going to be there at 1, he's there at 12:55. The guy that says he's going to try to get you some information, he gets you the information. The guy that you know that when he says he's going to do something, it's going to get done. This is the person that we all need to be. And Chris, the thing here. And we do this by exceeding expectations. And we do this because we need to serve at a level of excellence and exceed expectations. How does it work? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to understand what the word expectation means. So I Googled it. This is actually what came up. It's a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future, a belief that someone will or should achieve something. And look at the synonym, which I was surprised at. The synonym is it's a promise. The expectation says nothing about what someone told them was going to happen. It's just a belief that something that will happen. It's just a belief that someone will or should achieve something means it's a promise. So if someone's expectation thinks that something is going to happen or think that you're going to do something, they're viewing it as a promise. And that's a pretty important thing to understand. People talk about their bad experiences. People talk about their great experiences. Nobody talks about their okay experiences. Nobody talks about their experiences when their expectations are met. They talk about the bad and they talk about the great. So if we take an example in a restaurant, let's say we go to a Duffy's type restaurant, and we go there and we don't have a good experience. We have a really bad experience. We go there and the hostess or the host is not there, and then when they get there, they're doing something, and then they finally seat you, After they seat you, you're looking for the waiter or the waitress and you can't find them. You know, one of those times where you feel like you're invisible. Finally, the waitress or waiter comes over and you order your sodas or whatever it is that you drink. It takes you 22 minutes to get your drinks, which is not what you expected. You're getting the menu. You're trying to figure out what you want on the menu. You're asking the waiter something about the menu because you haven't been there before. There's absolutely no help. You order your food. You get your food. It's not any good. It's actually bad. And you get the bill, and you pay for it, and you leave. You going to go back there? Probably not. You going to talk about it? You're probably going to talk about it. You're definitely going to probably talk about it, and you're probably going to exaggerate it because that's what people do. They exaggerate their bad experiences, and they exaggerate their great experiences. Let's talk about an experience where you go and you have a great experience at the restaurant. You go to the same restaurant. The hostess greets you, and it's really nice. And they sit you down really quick, and you get this awesome waitress, and she's really nice, and maybe she makes a joke with your kid or something, and she takes your drink order, and she gets your sodas within just a few minutes, and you get the menu, and you're really a little bit confused about the menu, and you're asking questions. She's really helpful. You know, that waitress that's helpful. Oh, if you want the burger, this is the right kind of burger. You don't want that kind of chicken, and whatever it is, you order the food, and you get the food, and it's fantastic. It's great. And you get the bill, she puts a little smiley face on it, and you walk out of that restaurant, and you just had this awesome experience. Are you going to talk about that experience? Absolutely. You're going to talk about that experience. You're going to tell your friends about it. You say, I went to this great restaurant. It was great. It wasn't really expensive. It was great food. The service was great. Everything was great. Let's talk about when you go to a restaurant and you just have an okay experience where your expectations are just met, which is probably most of our experiences. We go and you sit down within a few minutes, and the waiter or waitress comes over and you order some drinks. It takes about 15 minutes, which is normal. You get the menu and you order your food, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's okay. Are you going to talk about that experience? No. Who wants to hear that story? Hey, Bob, I went to this restaurant. It was okay, and the restaurant service was all right, and the food was okay. No one's going to be standing there talking about that experience. People don't talk about their okay experiences. Okay is just not good enough. People don't notice when your expectations are just met. I'm an employer, and people who work for me, when they do their job, they're meeting my expectations. I don't notice if they're doing their job. That's what they're supposed to be doing. I notice when they're not doing their job. I notice when they exceed my expectations. Nobody notices when you just meet people's expectations, and nobody talks about it. They talk about the bad experiences. They talk about the great experiences. Let's take a personal experience. It's my job to take out the garbage, which, by the way, I really don't like that job at all. It's my job to take the garbage out from inside the house and put it inside the garbage can. It's my job to take the garbage cans out and put them out the front of the street. It's my job to take them back inside the house. All three of them I don't like. I don't like anything about it. So what do? You know, you wait, the garbage gets filled, and it's overfilled, and my wife has got to say, Lou, the garbage is overfilled. I'm like, okay, and I got to tie it up, and I got to go put it in, and it's Wednesday night. The garbage is supposed to be taken out at 7 or 8 o'clock. Lou, you got to take the garbage cans out. Okay, take the garbage cans out. Come home that night. Garbage cans are in front of the house. I'm tired. I had a tough day at work. I don't want to take those garbage cans in. I don't take them in right away. 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Lou, the garbage cans are outside, and I got to take them inside. My wife just had a really bad experience with something so simple. And you know, in the back of her mind, she may even be short with me, or maybe just not be as nice to me as she normally would be because of this ridiculous situation with the garbage. Let's talk about an awesome experience. And let me show you how I can exceed her expectations without even working any harder, without doing anything extra. And I notice that the garbage can's this much from the top from being full. So I go to the garbage can and I tie it up, and I go and I throw it in the thing, and I throw it in a fresh bag. I shut the door. Now my wife opens up the drawer, and she goes to put the garbage in, and she notices it's a fresh bag with no garbage in it, and she didn't have to say anything to anybody. She was like, oh, what's going on here? You know? So then, she notices that I take the garbage cans out. She didn't have to ask me. And when I come home the next night, I actually bring the garbage cans inside before I go inside the house. So when she looks outside, she sees it's done. I've exceeded her expectations. And she's happy because she didn't have to ask me to do anything. The restaurant experience, everybody wins. You win because you've had a great meal. Waiter wins because you gave him a great tip. Friends win because you sent them to a great experience for a restaurant. Restaurant wins because they get more business. The personal experience. My wife wins because she gets what she wants without having to ask me. I win because she likes me because I did it. Everybody wins. How many things do we get to do in life where everybody wins? Not many. Exceeding expectations is one of them. So this is our objective. And why? Because people want to help others that exceed their expectations. The people that you work with, your co-workers, want to help people that exceed their expectations. Businesses, customers want to give their business to people that exceed their expectations. If you have people that work for you, they want to work harder for you if you exceed their expectations. Matthew 25:21. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your Lord. In business, customers give you a small amount of business. You exceed their expectations, they give you more. If you work for someone and they give you a responsibility and you exceed their expectations, they give you more responsibility, they give you raises, they give you promotions. You know the guy that gets that promotion, that just elevated past everybody? Well, unless he's married to the boss's daughter, how did he do that? He did it by exceeding expectations. So this is our objective. And in the business world, they call it making raving fans. And raving fans are customers that are so ecstatic about the service that they received that they want to tell anyone and everyone about their experience all the time. Now that's a slogan I use at my work. Take out customers and put wife, put sister, put mother, put coworker, put daughter, put friend, that are so ecstatic about the service because we serve them, that they received, that they want to tell anyone and everyone about their experience all the time. Making raving fans. Matthew 14:13. As soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed on foot from many towns. He knew how to make raving fans. He went to the middle of the river to get away from everybody, and they still went to the edge. All right, he had a little bit of an edge. He healed people, and he walked on water, but you don't have to do that to create raving fans. You can do that by exceeding expectations. So the first thing we need to understand are three universal things. First thing we need to understand is everything we say we do is a promise. And we take this for granted. And this is really important. Everything we say we do is a promise. If you say you're going to do it, that is a promise. The second universal truth, and if you only get a couple of things out of what I'm talking about tonight, just two, this would be one of the most important ones. When you imply, suggest, infer, insinuate, say you're going to try, people hear and think it will happen. So in the eyes of the person you promised, this is paramount to understand. If you say, I'm going to try, let me see if I can get that information for you, I might be able to do that, let me see if I can do that, you think that you just said, well, you're going to try. And if you don't, you don't. How many times has somebody said to you, well, I'm going to try, and they don't do it, and they don't let you know? They view it as a promise. Is it fair? Absolutely not, it's not fair, but it doesn't make a difference if it's fair. It's their perception, and perception is reality. And they only hear what they want to hear. They hear you say that you're going to try, they assume you're going to try and you're going to do it. If you use any of those words at all, ever, you have to do two things. You either A, have to do it, or B, you have to communicate to the person that you're not going to do it before they expect it to be done. You either A, have to do it, even if you said try, you have to do it, or you have to communicate to them that, you know what, I tried and I couldn't. And the third thing you need to understand is when we break our promise, the customer, the person feels we lied to them. I mean, that's really messed up. You said you were going to try to do something. You said that you might be able to get them some information. You don't call them and tell them, and that person feels, whether they say it or not, they feel it emotionally inside them. They feel you've lied to them. And this is something that we need to understand. And we probably do this one a lot because we do follow through on our promise. And if you're not going to do it, you pretty much tell them. But we fail on this one. And this is every bit as important in life, in every relationship, personal or business. Guy dies and goes to heaven. St. Peter greets him. He says, we're kind of busy at the moment, but if you want, I got a free day pass to hell. The guy says, okay, I'll go to hell for the day. He goes to hell. It's a beautiful 5-star resort. He's getting lobsters. He's getting shrimp. He's getting steak. He's getting sodas with lemon in it. It's beautiful weather. It's the beach. It's absolutely fabulous. Next day, he goes up to St. Peter. St. Peter says, what'd you think? He says, I liked it. He says, you liked it? He says, it was really good. He says, well, you don't have to go to heaven. You can go to hell if you want. The guy says, well, no disrespect to the big guy, but I'm going to go to hell. At that point, 2 guards take him. They beat the heck out of him. They drag him into a cell. They throw a bowl of gruel at his feet. They shackle him to a wall, and they shut the gate. He goes, hey, it wasn't like this yesterday. They said, yesterday you were a prospect. Today you're a client. This is the way people feel when you drop the ball and say that you're going to try to do something, and don't let them know that you're not going to do it, and don't let them know that you're not going to do it. Matthew 5:33-37. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Like that guy that you know, he doesn't have to overpromise. He just says he's going to do it, and you just know that he's going to do it. Let your yes be yes and let your no be no. And sometimes you got to say no. It is so much worse to say I'm going to try and not do it than say no and not do it. We can't do everything. So if you can't do it, just say no. No is not a bad word. So how do we do this? We do it by exceeding expectations. And this is an actual science and a methodology. It isn't something that you really can just wing. And the first thing that you have to do is you have to think about what you want to communicate before you communicate it. And this is important. Think about the time frames of whatever you're going to do, whether it's for your wife, whether it's for, and most of the time this will apply in work, if you're going to do a job for someone or something that you're going to do. Think of the time frames. Second thing you need to think of is the scope of work. What exactly is it that you're going to do so when you communicate it to that person, you communicate it properly? And third, and most important, what are their expectations? We don't ever think about that. We think about, hey, these are the time frames. This is my scope of work, so I told you. But everybody has expectations. Hopefully, through your communication, you will have told them everything they need to know, but you need to know their expectations because they have expectations whether you've mentioned it or talked about it or not. Try to think about what they're expecting because that's what you're trying to exceed. Remember, nobody remembers getting their expectations met. You have to exceed them. The second thing, and this, if you ever get anything else out of this, this is it. This is the key. Under-promise and over-deliver. You have actual time and promised time. 2 different things. Actual time is the maximum expected time frame, maximum being the key word. So if we just take something in my business, flooring, and we're going to do a flooring job, and I think it's going to take 3 to 4 days to do. The maximum time is 4 days, not 3 days, 4 days, because it's going to take 3 to 4 days. The promised time that I give someone is actual time plus added time. No extra work. I'm not rushing the job. Added time. Added time, by the way, is not a buffer. It's not to give me some slack. So I have a job that's 3 to 4 days. I say, I'll get it done for you in less than 5 days. I'm planning the under-promising and over-delivering. I'm planning the exceeding expectation without working any harder. So what happens is when I finish that job in 3.5 or 4 days, or whatever it is that I'm doing for anybody, I've exceeded their expectations. Actual time plus added time. One of the simplest things that we can do. It's very rare that you'll ever hear me say, I'm going to call you on Thursday, and I call you on Thursday. If I tell you I'm going to call you on Thursday, I already know I'm calling you on Wednesday. And I call you on Wednesday. Hey, wow, he's exceeded my expectations before we even got started. The next thing, and these four things are one bolt kind of, explain in great detail the scope of work. Explain in great detail the scope of work and the process and the details. So again, we're talking about work, which primarily what this would apply to. If you're going to do a scope of work for someone, explain it in as much detail as possible. Because I guarantee you, as much detail as you get into, they're still going to have expectations that you don't know about. But you're going to do your best. Communicate, leaving for room for customers' anticipations. This is where you put the buffer in. The added time is not a buffer. The added time is a planned exceeded expectation. And leaving room for customers' anticipations. One thing I didn't mention with the under-promise and over-deliver with the time is you can't always do that, but you can do it a lot of the times, okay? You could do it with your kids. If I know I'm going to spend 2 hours with my child, I say, you know, honey, I'll spend an hour with you, and then I spend 2 hours, and I've exceeded their expectations. If I tell somebody that I know I'm going to be there at 1, you know what, I'll be there between 1 and 2. I get there at 1:10. I've exceeded their expectations. I haven't done anything extra. I tell you one thing, you tell someone you're going to be there between 1 and 2, and you get there at 1:45, you're already late, because they're looking at their clock. When you're going to call somebody back, easiest thing to do, just add some time. So back to this. It doesn't necessarily mean doing more work or working harder. It means working smarter. In doing anything that you're going to do, under-promising and over-delivering is the key to exceeding expectations. So going over these things in great detail is important so they get what you're going to do and uncover what you think that they're going to want. Colossians, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as you're working for the Lord and not for man. If you think of everything that you're going to do for anybody that you're going to do it for, and you think about it in these terms, that you're doing it for the Lord, whether you're doing something for your child, you're going to do something for your girlfriend, or you're going to do something for your wife, or you're going to do something for a coworker. Think about it like you're doing it for him. And if you do that, you know that you're going to be awesome. And you know that chances are you'll probably exceed their expectations because it's really going to come from your heart. And they're really going to know that. A really important part of putting this together is changing your habits and following systems. And you have to follow systems. McDonald's couldn't run without systems. And Ford Motor Company couldn't run without systems. If you think about it, if something has got 10 different parts that you have to complete to do, if you follow the system 100% of the time, chances are you're probably not going to forget anything, and chances are you're probably going to make minimal, if any, mistakes whatsoever at all. It's pretty easy. You do part 1, then you do part 2, then you do part 3, then you do part 4. You're not thinking about part 9, you're thinking about part 5. And if you follow systems and you continue to follow all those systems, then you never rarely will forget, and you rarely will make a mistake. Now, is that realistic that you're going to do that all the time? No, it's not, because you have to make exceptions, especially when you're exceeding expectations. You have to make exceptions. So what do? You break the system. Every exception to a system requires constant follow-up and follow-through. I can't say that enough. It requires constant follow-up and follow-through. If you take something out of that chink of the 1 through 10 and it comes out, you've got to remember to do it. You have to follow something. You have to create another system to remember that that has to get done. Every promise needs follow-up and follow-through. And there's no way we can do this through memory. On any given day, I probably have 2 or 3 people that I have to call every day, usually customers. And every given day, I've got 7 or 8 or 9 tasks that I have to do, aside from my normal everyday work. In a given week, I probably have 15 or 20 people I got to call, and maybe 50 tasks. In any given month, I've got 300 tasks and 30 or 40 people. There's no way that we could do that and remember it. There's no way you're going to do that with sticky notes. There's no chance. You got to have a system. And you want to create a system that's going to keep you on pace, that's going to be stress-free. Do not depend on your memory. There's two different things. If you work with a computer, you've got Outlook. People who have a computer know what that is. It's a program. You can manage your tasks. You can manage your calendar. It's really easy. If you're not, get a daily planner. They're $7 at Office Depot. It's got Monday through Sunday on it. And it's got everything that you need to do. And I put everything in my daily planner. Now, before I was computer literate, I used daily planners, and I sit at a desk, so it's most convenient for me. If I was out in a car, maybe a daily planner would work best. But I put everything in there. Everything in there. If I've got to call Mrs. Jones today about flooring, first of all, she thinks I'm calling her tomorrow. And I've got it in my daily planner, and I got to check on Mrs. Jones. So I call, and I check on Mrs. Jones' flooring. Oh, no, it's not in yet. Today's Monday. You know what, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to check on it. I'll give you a call back on Friday. I put her in my book on Thursday. On Thursday, I say, I got to check on Mrs. Jones' carpet. Pick up the phone, check on Mrs. Jones' carpet. Oh, it's still not here. Call up Mrs. Jones. Yes, I told you I was going to call you by tomorrow. It's still not in. It's probably going to come in by the end of next week. I'll call you the end of next week. She gets moved to Wednesday, and she just keeps on getting moved until she gets done. And when she gets done, I cross her off the list. Every single thing that you do, every single task that you need to do, even if you have to do things for your children or for your wife or for yourself, put it in the book, put it in your daily tasks. Now, someone who's not used to doing that, like I'm ADD, so it took me a little while to get used to that. You know, you'd be, that's a hassle. I'll remember it. I'll just put it on a sticky note. Why would you create that kind of stress for yourself? It's completely unnecessary. You put everything in your daily planner. You put everything in your Outlook. And it's there, and you don't have to remember it. I have to remember today and what I'm going to do tomorrow. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do on Friday because it's on Friday. I don't have to remember about anything. And you just move it. And this is how you exceed expectations. You keep on top of it, and you do it stress-free. I mean, nothing's really stress-free, but it's a lot more stress-free than doing it and trying to remember it and putting it on sticky notes. Our customers are like, we all work, we all have customers, are like this red hanky. If you don't exceed their expectations, or worse yet, don't even meet their expectations, they go away. And if you exceed their expectations, not only do they come back, but they bring their friends. You do these things, and you become that guy. You become the guy that people can count on. You become that guy in your personal life. You become that guy in your business life. I want you to visualize that you leave here and you say, I'm going to exceed people's expectations, and you do it for a regular basis. And you notice that your kids and your people, your personal people in your life, really see that you're exceeding their expectations. You just see the results that you get and how they want to help you and how they want to do more for you. If you're at work and you work for somebody and you see that you exceed your coworkers' expectations and watch them go out of their way to help you because you're helping them. You see your boss recognizes that you're exceeding his expectations. You're not doing your job. You're not maybe even doing more than your job, because sometimes it requires more work, but you're exceeding his expectations because you're planning on it. And you get your raises and you get your promotions. You have people that work for you that you're exceeding your expectations, and you see them work harder for you because they know that you're exceeding their expectations. And you become that guy, the guy that people can count on, the people that know that his yes is yes and his no is no. How many things in life do we get to do where everybody wins? Not many. This is one of them. You have a card on your table. It says, how can I exceed expectations today? And 3 things I thought were important. Communication, under promise, over deliver. And the third one, follow up and follow through. See, I need to write it down in order for me to remember it. So when you leave today, and anything that you're going to say or think or do, and anything that you're going to do in any part of your life, just say to yourself, am I exceeding expectations? Let's pray. Lord, we gather here together as a group of men to be better men, to be better at home, to be better men at home, to be better men at work, and not like the YMCA disco group. Lord, you have set the bar in exceeding expectations, and we aspire to meet that bar the best that we possibly can. And we intensely pray right now and ask that we find that road to your mind easy, and we find that road to your will easy, so that we can be better men of God and show people your way through our actions in your word. Amen.
Amen. Let's give it up. Let's give it up for Lou.